Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And happy Sunday. I hope you had a wonderful service and day. Madam President, I hail you and the ESCO members that are present on this call. And like the chairman of the Business Empowerment Committee had introduced, we have as our guest speaker, Mr. Taiwo Pokuola. Before I bring him on, I just want to read a brief profile of our guest so that we'll have some background information about him and what he's done before now. Our guest is speaker is Mr. Taiwo Pokuola, and Mr. Taiwo Pokuola is a skilled and dedicated practicing accountant and tax consultant based in Nigeria with over 10 years experience in the field. He established himself as a trusted professional known for his expertise in financial management, taxation, and compliance. He had his first degree certification in management and accounting from University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University. He qualified as a chartered accountant from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. He's a qualified certified forensic accountant from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. He's also a qualified chartered tax practitioner certification from the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. He's a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria and is an associate of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. Mr. J.T. Pokuola had his articleship with A.B. Adekpeju and Co., and also with the international consulting firm of KPMG, Pitmawick Ani, Ogunde and Company. He worked with both multinational corporations and small businesses, providing comprehensive accounting and taxation solutions. His extensive knowledge of the Nigerian tax laws and regulations combined with his expertise in financial reporting and analysis enables him to offer tailored services to meet his clients' unique needs. He's currently the managing consultant of Taisha Associates and the managing partner of Taiwo Pokuola and Co. Some of the services he renders are tax planning and compliance, where he helps individuals and businesses navigate the complex Nigerian tax system. He assists in tax planning strategies to minimize tax liabilities while ensuring compliance with all relevant tax laws and regulations. Mr. J.T. Pokuola also provides guidance on tax deductions, exemptions, incentives available to his clients, financial reporting and analysis. As an experienced accountant, Mr. J.T. Pokuola helps his clients maintain accurate and up-to-date financial records. He prepares financial statements, including balance sheets, income statements, cash flow statements, and he conducts in-depth financial analysis to identify areas of improvement and provide valuable insights for informed decision-making. Bookkeeping and payroll services. Mr. J.T. Pokuola offers comprehensive bookkeeping services to ensure accurate record keeping and timely financial reporting. He also manages payroll processes, including employee salary calculations, withholding taxes and statutory deductions, and etc. Audit support. He assists clients in preparation of financial and external audits. He ensures that financial statements and records are organized and compiled with the audit requirements. He provides guidance and support throughout the audit process to help his clients achieve successful outcomes. Business advisory. Recognizing the financial decisions impact in business growth, he offers strategic advice to entrepreneurs, business owners, and he also provides financial forecasting, budgeting, assistance, provision of feasibility studies to help clients make informed decisions and optimize their financial performances. Mr. J.T. Pokuola is committed to excellence, attention to detail, and a strong ethical standard makes him a trusted partner for individuals and businesses seeking comprehensive accounting and tax services in Nigeria. He strives to deliver these personalized solutions that drive financial success and compliance to his clients. So, that is just a brief of what Mr. Taiwo Popola has been doing for quite a while. And again, it's my pleasure on behalf of MCSS, that's Maryland Comprehensive High School, 81 to 83 State Old Students Association, to welcome Mr. Johnson Taiwo Popola to this program. You're very welcome, sir. And in the next few minutes, I believe you just have the floor. You have a time of 30 minutes. Excuse me. Thereafter, there will be question and answers. Thank you very much again. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So, Mr. Popola, you have the floor, please. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
I want to first of all thank the president of the association and the chairman of the planning committee and all the members. And I have not forgotten the executive members, please. I want to thank you for this opportunity given to me, at least to share the little knowledge that we have, because knowledge is an ocean. And I want to thank you very much. I'll give you 30 minutes to talk. I will try as much as possible to keep within the time and to allow for question and answer. Then one other thing is that at the end of this talk, I have a gift for every one of us that we can at least can assist us in our businesses. Once more, I'm grateful for the opportunity and thank you very much. Let's just dive into the issue of the day. You can see I have a long agenda, but I will still try to keep within the time. We have introduction, the understanding bookkeeping for small businesses, importance of bookkeeping, basic bookkeeping methods and systems, 7 steps of bookkeeping process, practical bookkeeping tips for small business owners. Then we move to taxation, overview of Nigerian tax system, types of taxes applicable to small businesses, tax filing deadlines and compliance requirements, tax planning strategies for small businesses, and we close by best practices for tax compliance. Bookkeeping is fundamental and key to management of any business. It's so fundamental, though it's a subset, a part of accounting. And I always encourage small business to focus on bookkeeping. Maybe in the meantime, you can lead accounting so that you can get, as everyone hearing me, stars and maths.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much. So we quickly look under the understanding bookkeeping for small businesses. We look at what do we mean by the term bookkeeping, importance of bookkeeping, basic bookkeeping methods and systems, and the first 7 methods. Bookkeeping is the process of tracking all your business financial transactions, so you can see exactly where your business is spending money, where your revenue is coming from, and which tax deductions you'll be able to claim. It is the slangs of our youth these days. They say data is life. But I want to say that in business, data is really life, because you cannot run an effective business without having information at the tips of your finger. And bookkeeping is the source of this information. Importance of bookkeeping. Why is it so important to businesses? Number 1 is the financial control. Bookkeeping will enable you to know the financial health of your business, because it will let you know where you are spending money and where the money you are spending is coming from. And so you are able to know the position, the situation of your business at any point in time. Then compliance. We know that in Nigeria these days, taxation is key to every businesses. So because of that, bookkeeping helps you in keeping proper records so that you can comply with tax deadlines, so that you can know which opportunity to take. Then thirdly is budgeting and planning. When in fact, it's always good to look at the future of your business. When you have very good bookkeeping system in place, don't forget that you can only move from known to unknown. And because you have good bookkeeping records, you know the situation you are in, and you can use that to leverage into the future. So in budget and planning, bookkeeping plays a role. Then investor confidence. Well, I listen to this a lot among small business owners. They will tell you, oh, banks don't give money, financial institutions don't give money, even when they want to approach development institutions. They tell you, oh, they won't give us. It's not so. When you have your bookkeeping system in place, you are keeping proper records. In fact, you have won 50% of the battle between lenders and investors. Because the first thing they will ask you of is your financial statement, which is the outcome of your bookkeeping system. And they will be able to know what is the situation of your business. So it helps in boosting investors' confidence in our businesses. And not only investors, even other stakeholders like your suppliers, even your customers at times.
So,
Then,
have a pleasant rest and a beautiful week.
am I being stopped to ask questions, or is that interference, please? Then another importance of bookkeeping is business analysis. You can analyze every aspect of your business if you are keeping good records. For instance, you can be able to know what's the performance of my products, which customer is giving us money. You need to know all this. Then another one is tax efficiency. When you keep bookkeeping records, filing your returns will not be problems. You will not need to be paying penalty and interest. And in fact, it provides avenue for a good tax planning, so that you will not be paying tax more than.
Sorry, Mr. Taiwo. Sorry. Please, Jumoke Odesoya, can you mute, please? Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Then,
another importance of bookkeeping is business expansion. Business expansion. A lot of small businesses, they aspire to expansion without looking at the situation of at their situation. We have a client, because it's a poultry farm, because the government just they banned this bringing in frozen chicken from outside the country. They just went into it to expand, but you know what happened? They lost a generator instantly, because they did not look at their resources. They did not have the required bookkeeping system in place to tell them their resources and how they can leverage that resources to expand their business. So bookkeeping is very, very key. Then another importance is credibility. It gives your business credibility. In fact, when you have proper records, proper bookkeeping system, you are taken to be professional. And I explain by this. There is another client of ours, one of the suppliers. is a very, very strict businessman. And the man does not normally give credit because he believes that small businesses, he needs to be careful. But by the time this our client went to him, presented his financial statements, back it up with every evidence, the man said, let's give you a trial. And that was how he started enjoying credit facility from that supplier. It gives you credibility. Then fraud prevention. Of course, when you are keeping, you have a very sound bookkeeping system, which is being reviewed on timely basis. If there is an error, irregularities, fraud, you will easily know. In fact, it will come out. Unlike when you are not keeping proper records, that it will take years even before you detect. Then, of course, because an audit is compulsory for every businesses, when you have proper books of accounts, you will discover you will pay less for your audit fee because you are making the work of auditors so easy. They don't have to be jumbling figures, cracking their brains because we have everything properly kept. And lastly, which is where data is life is very, very important. How do you make decisions in your business? Do you use information that your bookkeeping system is generating? So bookkeeping help you in making informed decisions. If you are keeping proper records and you are operating, maybe your products is sold in south, southwest, northeast, and so on, you can be able to do analysis and know which of these geopolitical zones in Nigeria is performing well for us. And you are able to know whether to put resources there, where you are getting a very strong, a good result, whether to put more resources there, and when you are not getting results, what do I need to do? So it helps you in making informed decisions. Let's move forward, SARS and MAS. Then another thing is basic bookkeeping methods and systems. What are the methods of bookkeeping? We have cash basis method. In this, businesses keep their records based on cash they collect, which means they regard cash as their main source of revenue. For instance, if of course such businesses they sell on cash basis, not that they give credit. If you are running your business on cash basis method, you don't have anything to do with credit. And some businesses, most services company, and even retail businesses, because they collect cash, so they can decide to say it is when we collect cash we recognize that we have actually done business. Then the second one is accrual basis. This one is where once you do your business and the normal records pass out, then you have assumed that you have gotten your business consummated. For instance, on the accrual basis, when you sell goods to your customer, you raise invoice. The moment the customer append his or her signature to your invoice, then a deal has been done. A deal has been done. Which means at that point, you can recognize that invoice as your revenue. Likewise, when it comes to expenses, the moment you acknowledge invoice from your supplier, you have taken it that you have consummated that expenses, you have incurred that expenses. That's what accrual basis is telling us. That business are consummated, not when cash is received.
The speaker has been put on mute.
Please, who is our administrator? Can you kindly unmute our speaker? And then there's somebody else who is okay. So please, can we help? Or if the speaker can hear, please, Mr. Pupola, can you unmute? Your mic has been muted. We can't hear you anymore.
Okay, sir. I've done that, sir.
Okay. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, sir. So we are still on a basic booking method and system. So the methods are cash basis method and accrual basis method. However, I will encourage us as small businesses to adopt accrual basis because it shows completeness, accuracy, and timely records. The cash basis, there might be issues, and that's why it's better to use accrual basis. Then let's look at bookkeeping systems. We have single entry business system, which means you just record your business transaction by listing. And that's always done mostly by people who use cash basis method. And there is always problem with this method because there is always incompleteness. Then we have double entry system, which is where most clients always have issues with bookkeepers and accountants. What double entry system is saying is that you must record every transaction from two perspectives. One, from the perspective of the giver and the perspective of the receiver. What I mean in this case, it will be you must record your sales from the perspective of your buyer and from your own perspective. And when you are being supplied goods, you must make your records from the perspective of the supplier and from your own perspective. Then we have a manual recording system. What we mean by manual recording system is when you keep your records in pen and paper, which is outdated as a result of technology these days. Then the other system is computerized bookkeeping system. Like I said earlier on, this is the day of technology. And it is advisable, if you have not been using it, that you start using it. It's far better. It provides real-time reporting. And so it's good. And under the computerized bookkeeping system, we have what we call off-the-shelf software. Off-the-shelf software. Like some people, they will just go to all these vendors. Maybe these vendors come to sell to them. They will just buy maybe QuickBook. Let me buy QuickBook. That is what we call off the shelf. You are just like you are going to a bookshop, you just buy a book. And in that case, there are so many things wrong. One is that the QuickBook that you, or whichever software that you buy, might not be tailored to your business. That's one. You will need to pay money for training, to train people to use that software. And when there is a change, you will need to pay for upgrade of the software. That's the three things that you might need to do if you are using off-the-shelf software. And personally, I don't advise clients to use off-the-shelf software these days. Because one, it restricts you. You can only have access to your records when your computer is available. The other one is cloud-based software, which is what every business use they use these days. And what we mean by cloud software is a software that does not reside on your desktop, but it's on the cloud. And this type of software, the reason why they are good is that you won't need to pay money for training. It will have come with modules that you can read, you can practice it. You won't need to pay money for installation because they're in the cloud. Then they provide real-time reports for you. As you key it to your records, you see the reports. So that's why it is better to use cloud based software. There are so many of them. Let's move on. Then let's look at the first 7 steps of a bookkeeping process. I'm giving us these steps as business owners, not as a bookkeeper. I'm giving us as a business owners. These are the responsibility that we need to carry out for our businesses. Number 1, separate your business and personal expenses. Always make sure that you separate your business from your personal expenses. I'm expecting a lot of questions from here. Number 2 is choosing a bookkeeping system. You have to decide which bookkeeping system. However, this decision, you might need to talk to a professional before you take this decision. Also, choosing an accounting method. Is it cash basis or accrual basis? These two, you need to talk to a professional before you do that. However, the 4th one, categorize your transactions. Because you are the owner of the business, you are the one that knows the sources of your revenue. You know what you want to be doing to generate revenue for your business. You will need to categorize this. You need to categorize them, classify them. So also your expenses. And also this one too, if you know you cannot do it, you can always seek professional advice. Then organize and store your documents. This is filing. How do you keep your invoices? How do you keep your receipts? How do you keep your vouchers? These are things that you need to do. How do I organize it? How do I sort out the sales that have collected money, the one have not collected? All these are very, very key, is filing. Then the 6th one, organize potential deductions. This one is concerned with your tax filing. You need to organize your document in such a way that if taxman come anytime, you'll be able to show it to them and you'll be able to claim the deductions that you are supposed to claim. Then lastly, you need to make it a habit to review your bookkeeping system. In fact, as a business owner, when you are in the management seat, I will encourage that if you don't have time at all, ensure you are doing it once in a month and make it a habit to check your records every month. It is very, very important. Then let's look at practical tips for small business owners. Number 1, you need to set up a proper chart of accounts. You will need a professional to do this for you too, because chart of accounts is a technical issue. Then number 2, recording transactions accurately and timely. People working with you, you must not just leave the recording to them anyhow. You must be on top of them. Ensure that when a transaction is done, they are recorded accurately in terms of figures. A lot of people don't know how to handle figures. Some I see they will where they're supposed to put 389, they might put 398. You need to ensure that proper things have been done. Then ensure that they are recording this transaction on timely basis. On timely basis, not that they will leave it that when they get time. No. Then reconciling bank statements and accounts. This one too, you might not be doing it for yourself. It's a simple process. But then ensure that at least every month your bank statement is reconciled. And every other account, like when you sell to customers on credit, you need to ensure that it's reconciled. Those are areas where small businesses they lose money. And I want us to know, your money in the bank is not your money until you collect it. That is why you hold a duty to ensure that bank reconciliation is done, so that you can easily know on time if they are tampering with your account. Then another area where small business owners need to be careful is managing petty cash and expenses. You see, small expenses is so easy to disregard. But by the time you accumulate all, you will know that it's something you need to watch out for. And to do this, it's always good to use Impress system for all these petty cash and expenses. Use Impress. What is Impress system? Impress system is where you advance them money, give them some money, and as they exhaust that and they want to retire, you review what they have said they spend the money on before you reimburse them. It's not just that every week I know they must collect. No, you need to look at what have you used the one I gave to you to do. Then lastly, it is very, very important as small business owners that we have the habit of creating and maintaining a budget for our business. It's always good because we have a clear path of how to navigate the business world. Let's move to taxation. Taxation essentials for small businesses in Nigeria. We will look at the following overview of taxation in Nigeria, types of taxes applicable to small businesses, tax filing deadlines and compliance requirements, tax planning strategies for small businesses. Please, I will rush because of the time, but then I will try and see how I can at least pass the information in this short time. What is taxation? Taxation refers to the process by which the government imposes financial charges or other levies upon individuals, businesses, or other legal entities to fund public expenditures and government functions. That is taxation. And this is always governed by laws. Taxation in Nigeria is governed by various laws and regulations, with the primary legislation being the Companies Income Tax Act, Personal Income Tax Act, and the Value Added Tax Act. If you look at our definition of taxation, I just want us to note this. It's not that some category, even if you are doing business on your individual name, you are still subject to taxation. So what we are talking here is that taxpayers covers limited liability companies, business enterprises, and individuals. Let's look at the type of taxes applicable to small businesses. There are several types of taxes in Nigeria. So we'll just look at the one that is appropriate. And please, I did not include the one for petroleum profit tax, because I want to believe that I'm talking to small business owners that are not doing big business in that sector. The first thing is company income tax. This tax is imposed on the profits of companies at a fixed rate. It is governed by the Companies Income Tax Act in Nigeria. Then personal income tax. This tax is levied on the income of individuals, partnerships, communities, and families. The Personal Income Tax Act regulates the tax for individuals. Sorry, I think I don't know why I missed this. For individuals and tax for employees and self-employed. Employees and self-employed. That's what you're supposed to be there. The taxpayers are categorized into two doors. No, sorry. Okay. Let me just go on with the hair. I've seen it. The taxpayers are categorized into two doors. Employees, they pay PAYE on monthly basis. This is paid by employers on behalf of employees. Then we have the self-employed. They pay once in a year through direct assessment after filing their returns. And the returns is always filed within the first 3 months of the year, between January and March. And filing returns is not only limited to self-employed people. Everyone supposed to file their returns, their income tax returns, between January and March of the following year, which means you report your income for 2022. You file returns for it between January and March 2023. And the one of 2023 will be filed between January and March 2024. And it is for everyone. Then we are continuing with the categories of tax that is applicable to small business owners. Value-added tax. VAT is an indirect tax imposed on the supply of goods and services. VAT Act governs the administration of this tax in Nigeria. Then withholding tax. This is a tax deducted as source from the income and from the income of one person by another person, or from one of one entity by another entity, who pays the same directly to the government. I need to explain a little about this. Withholding tax is not tax per se. And the reason why it's not tax per se is because it is just an advance payment of tax that the government wants you to pay for two reasons. One, that by the time we ask you to account for your income, you might not have enough money to pay your income tax at a go. So the government will not have access to money to run the machinery of government. And another reason is that even you as a taxpayer, is beneficial to you, because it is just like it's not like you are giving credit to the government, which you can claim later. And another reason is that if you all leave the government without paying this withholding tax, government might run out of money in running the affairs of in running its affairs. So withholding tax is not a tax per se. And I will encourage you as small business owner, because it brings a relief at the end of the year when you are filing your returns. So when you are filing your returns and you know you have had so much credit. I know one of our clients, they have almost above 100 million in withholding tax, so they don't need to pay tax. They don't need to run around when they just submit their returns. In fact, we have a lot of them like that is not paying tax, is not their problem. They have enough funds. Sorry. Okay. Then we have capital gains tax. Capital gains tax. This is chargeable on the gains accrued to any person on the disposal of assets. If you sell assets of your business, you are going to be subject to capital gains tax. Then education tax. This tax is levied on the assessable profits of companies registered in Nigeria and is used to fund the education tax, education sector. Education tax goes along with your company income tax when you file your company income tax. You'll get to it later. We'll talk about returns and the compliance requirements. Then, who are the tax authorities in Nigeria? And I want us to know I just put this so that we can know as taxpayers, as small business owners, that if you are paying company income tax, or let me put it this way, if you are a limited liability company, your tax authority, your principal tax authority is the Federal Inland Revenue Service. And of course, you pay your PAYE the PAYE of your staff to the state government. The state government is a tax authority on personal income tax. And even the Federal Inland Revenue Service, they take care of some personal income tax for people residing in Abuja and also diplomatic missions at the armed forces. They are the one, they are the tax authority over their personal income tax. So we have two tax authorities, Federal Inland Revenue Service and State Internal Revenue Service. Another type of tax authority, which is not always well pronounced, is the Revenue Committee of the local governments. And the reason why it's not well pronounced is because even some state government have taken over that from them. And also, even the way they carry out their activity, and it's another issue. So it's the tax authority too, but then they are not well pronounced because of some factors. Let's move on. Tax filing deadlines and compliance requirements. Tax filing deadlines and compliance requirements. For company income tax, you file returns annually. You file returns annually. And the due date is 6 months after the company's accounting year. For instance, all companies whose accounting year end is 31st December 2022 must have filed their returns between January and June 2023. Well, I didn't mention this. We can just read it up. The consequence of non-compliance. Because of our time, please, because I will release this slide, we can always go through it. I don't know. I don't know if I still have enough time. And some other things. Then, sorry. Withholding tax is the returns are rendered monthly. This is due for filing on or before 21st of the month following the month of transactions for FRS and 30th after the month of transaction for SIRS. You see, we mentioned two tax authorities. While state governments, they are concerned with personal income tax. That is, the tax of individuals and business enterprises and sole proprietorship. But then, as a result of carrying out transactions, these set of people, individuals, business enterprises, sole proprietorship, they will generate withholding tax. So they are not going to render that returns to the Federal Inland Revenue Service, but to state government, because their own tax authority is the state government. So they will render that. They must render that after the month of transaction, 30th of the following month. Then penalty for late payment, non-payment is there too. I just assume that we'll read it because of our time. Then value-added tax. This one too is rendered monthly. And this is due for filing on or before 21st day of the following month, whether transactions occurred or not. Under the value-added tax, returns are rendered whether you have transactions or not. And in fact, failure to render returns attracts penalties. The penalty is stated here. We will see it there. So whether there is transaction or not, you must file return in the case of VAT. Then the capital gains tax, the returns are done biannual. For instance, if you sell part of your asset between January and June, you are expected to file your returns for capital gains tax by June. And if you sell your asset between July and December, you are expected to file your returns by 31st of December. That's why it is biannual. Then let's look at pay as you earn. Pay as you earn. That is the tax you paid on behalf of your employees. You have a responsibility that you must deduct tax from your employees and remit it to the state government. It is done monthly and annually. I will explain that of the annual. Okay, it's here already. Monthly filing. This is due for filing or not before 10 of the following month. The 10th of the following month. Then the annual filing is what we call employment income tax returns. This is due for filing or not before 31st January for the annual filing. What you do in this case is that you compile the list of your staff, the salary you pay them, then the tax you deducted, you gross them over, you gross them together, and you render the returns to the state governments. Then another returns is pension. This is done monthly too, and you are expected to deduct, it is by law. But if you are not employing up to 3 people, you are exempted. But once you employ more than 3 people, you are supposed to be deducting, you are supposed to put them on contributory pension scheme, which means you deduct part of their salary. You as the employer, you contribute towards it too, at the rate of, you deduct 8% of their salary of basic housing and transport. Then you will need to contribute 10% as the employer. You need to contribute 10% as the employer, 10% of basic housing and transport towards their pension. The penalty is there too. National Housing Fund. This is not monthly, but of recent, there is a directive that private sector are not, is not compulsory that they contribute towards that. The National Housing Fund is where you deduct 5% from your employee salary and you remit it to National Housing Fund for the purpose of mortgage facilities for them from Federal Mortgage Bank. But this is no longer compulsory for the private sector. It's only for public sector. Then is the Industrial Trading Fund. This is done annually too. And if you have a staff strength of more than 5, you are supposed to charge 1% of your payroll cost and remit returns. The penalty is there too. I think I'm getting to the end of these tax planning strategies for small businesses. What are the strategies that I can put in place to put me in a comfortable position anytime that I want to spend a return? Number 1, you need to register with the tax authorities. You need to register with the tax authorities. And I want to say here, don't be afraid to register with tax authorities, because there are provisions in tax law that you can actually benefit. I know of some provisions that it doesn't mean that you have to pay tax. It doesn't mean that you have to pay tax. But then just register with them. Don't be afraid of them. There is no problem. Another strategy you can employ is you need to maintain and keep accurate records. As I mentioned earlier, when you keep accurate records, there is nothing that the tax man The taxman wants to see facts. Wants to see facts. And when facts are there, there's nothing they can do. That's the truth. Then the third strategy, you need to ensure timely filing of tax returns. If you are to file returns by June, ensure you do it. The ones you're supposed to file monthly, ensure you do it. When you do this, you are going to avoid paying penalties and interest. Penalty and interest is killing, especially with the latest system being employed by FIRS. Once it is put on tax promise, there's nothing you can do about it. It's whatever the system computes for you that you go and pay. So it's better to ensure that you file your returns on timely basis. Sorry. Then, number 4, don't underrate your tax obligations. That's the problem we have in Nigeria, and that is what is making us to do it, making tax be a big issue. You have an obligation, and ensure that you carry out your obligation. It's just a pity that we cannot go through all these taxpayers' rights and obligation tonight. But anyway, no problem. Just ensure that every obligation entrusted on you by law, you carry it out. Then, when you are computing your tax, ensure that the professional handling your tax. Anyway, you don't have a say about that. Calculate the correct taxes and pay on time. Anyway, this you can do this by you having a good record. And once you have a good record, tax professional will always see how they can stand by you. The next one is seek professional advice. You need to seek professional advice. Like I said earlier on, tax sorry. Okay, let's go on. So as I said earlier on, you do not have any issue. Okay. I think, okay, let me just add some things here. I don't know that I have duplicated it. Let me add some things here. And just by that time, I will round up. You have mentioned that you need to understand Nigerian tax laws, proper record keeping, you have to register for taxes. Okay, tax effective business structure. I need to mention this because you see, a lot of small businesses are making mistakes. It is not every business you need a limited liability company for. Some businesses you don't need a limited liability company. Maybe you just need an enterprise. And that's why you need an advice. But good enough, the current CAMA, Company Online Matters Act, has even made it possible for when you can register your business as a limited liability company. But then errors have been committed in the past where people do not need to register a limited liability company. Okay. You need to take advantage of tax incentives. That's why you need to ask your tax consultants what are the benefits that are available for you. For instance, in the tax laws, it says that if you are just starting your business, the first 4 years, you can recoup your losses. It's an incentive in the tax law, which you can take advantage of. Then claiming allowable expenses. Not all expenses are allowable in tax law. And so you need to claim those that are allowable. You need to take advantage of it. The tax professional will always advise you on that. Then you invest in capital assets. The reason why I say you invest in capital assets is because once you invest in capital assets, there's allowances that they call it capital allowances that the government will give you, that you'll be able to remove. You'll be able to remove it from your accessible profits, and it's always at advantage. So invest in capital assets. Then for your employees, ensure that you give them like all these pension we have just mentioned, ensure that they take advantage of it. And to you too, when you contribute towards their pension, it's tax allowable. It's tax allowable. And so you can take advantage of that. Then outsource tax preparation. Don't do it by yourself. Don't do it by yourself. Then timely filing and payment, I've mentioned that. Collaborate with tax professionals, I mentioned that. Plan for withholding tax. Plan for withholding tax. You see, don't say, withholding tax is easy to pay. Just inform your customers, please deduct it and ensure that they remit it. It has advantage. You won't need to be running around when it's time to file your returns. Okay, okay, let's quickly look at best practices for tax compliance if I still have time. Number one, keep proper documentation for tax purposes. Effort giving. Number two, understanding tax deductions and credits available for small businesses. You need to know that you take advantage of it. Businesses record keeping for tax audit preparedness. You need to have at the back of your mind that tax man will always come one day to say, let me look at your books. Please, we need to have that in mind. They will always want to come one day to say, let's look at your records. And that's why we cannot afford to joke with keeping proper books. Then engaging with professional tax consultants and accountants. You need that. It's a good practice so that they can inform you of the latest development as far as tax is concerned. Then this last one, join a trade association to advance the interest of your business. There's this thing that I participated on. Before the passage of Finance Act 2019, there was this problem with bakers in Nigeria. Some will say, in fact, FRS will say some will pay VAT, some were paying, some were not paying. Because some were saying that it is basic food, they don't need to pay. And because they have very good association, they were able to make presentation to FRS. And the outcome of the presentation is being exempted from paying VAT on bread. Another one is the laboratory scientists. I know there was a time they were having serious problems with Lagos State government. The association stepped in and they were able to get a reprieve from the state government. So it's good to join trade association and put forward what you feel is not right the government is doing. We are part of the government too, we are citizens. So we need to put forward our grievances as to whatever the law is doing that is not favorable to us. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity this evening, at least to talk a little that I know. I wouldn't know whether I've exhausted my time, but if yes, I hope we will have time for question and answer. So thank you very much. I'm grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Popola. You have actually exhausted your time and overshot, but anyway, it's it's been quite insightful and very, very informative. I'm very sure there will be questions, but I'd like you to look at the chat box. There have been some questions on the chat box. I don't know if you have access to the chat box on your laptop or system that you're using. And Landers, if you have questions, can you just please indicate by raising your hands so that we'll be able to take the questions in the next 15 minutes because of our time. But Mr. Popola, please look at the what's it called, the chat box. There are questions. There are questions in there. Okay, that we would like you to quickly answer.
Okay.
Our time is far spent, but however, I want you to respond to quite a number of questions. And if any lander has a question, can you please indicate by raising your hand? Thank you. You can respond to the questions in the chat box, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, Lander. sorry, just a quick announcement that all ex-executive members of the 8183 set, please, after this seminar is over, don't log out. Our president will be meeting with us. Thank you. So please go ahead. Thank you.
The first question is, how does government tax the aboki that trades in forest by the roadside? Let us know this, though it might not be known to us. Every one of them is attached to a bureau de change. A bureau de change. And to get bureau de change license, you have to apply to CBN. And they are limited liability company. So I want to believe that they are paying tax, the common income tax through the limited liability company. However, for individuals, you see, there is this thing we call informal sector, and it's been a problem for tax authorities. Lagos State devised one method that everybody in the informal sector just pay 5,000 in a year. And do you know where they always catch them? Is when they need any government, when they want to enjoy any government services. For instance, I know that in Lagos, if you want to go to public school, you want your ward to go to public school, they will ask you to go and pay tax. And in fact, what they will pay is always more than 5,000. So everybody who operates in the formal sector, one way or the other, they have a way of catching up with them. But it's a problem we have because of lack of data in this nation. I wouldn't know whether I satisfy.
Thank you, sir. That's fine.
That's okay, sir. You can go ahead. Thank you.
In Lagos, after impounding vehicles for traffic offenses, one expected to produce tax clearance certificate. Those of us in the public service are told by the bursar that we cannot get our tax clearance because it is not remitted. Yes, sir. The problem we have in this country is that you will discover that even government institutions are the worst culprits in complying with tax laws. You will discover that. In fact, it's so saddening that they will deduct this money, but they won't remit it. Well, I hope what I would just suggest that any employee in that situation to cry out, and if possible, you can write the tax authority themselves. Though you know our system is such a nasty one that for people just say you are fine. In fact, there's one they refer to me, and I told them, if a federal institution refuse to remit, it's their problem. But the employee has to hold them responsible. You are entitled to a tax clearance certificate. As a taxpayer, once they said they are deducting it, you are entitled to a tax clearance certificate. And so I will encourage you to just make sure that you put pressure on the accountant to do the needful. Thank you, sir. Are there not other indirect taxes, such as stamp duties? Yes. Thank you for that question. Yes, stamp duties is there. And you pay stamp duties to both the Federal Inland Revenue Service and State Internal Revenue Service. Yes. Stamp duty are paid on agreements, and they have a graduated rate. Yes, it's correct. Both the limited liability companies and individuals and business enterprises, they pay it too. Thank you, sir, for that question. People above the age of 70 and retired, are they meant to pay tax? Yes, by our tax law. I think from the age 65, 60, you are regarded as senior citizen, and you are not supposed to pay tax. That's the law, the position of the law. You are not expected to pay tax. But you see, the zealousness of our tax people, when a man of that age needs government service, they might be putting pressure on you, but you need to let them know that you are a senior citizen. Thank you for that question too. Now use actors. Who is to pay the tenant or the landlord? Well, really, it is the landlord that's supposed to pay because the receipt will come in his name. He's the owner of the property. But he can decide to pass it on to the tenants because they are his customers. They are his customers. Actually, the landlord is supposed to pay. That's the position. TIN, can you explain the TIN? Oh, TIN is tax identification number. TIN is tax identification number. Is the number issued by FIRS, Federal Inland Revenue Service, to every taxpayer on their records to be able to identify them. To be able to identify them. And it is very, very important for every taxpayer to ensure that he has TIN. Because if you want to do any transaction, anything with them, you need to quote your TIN number. And that's why at your registration, you need that. And may I say it here again? There is the FRS and the CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission. They are collaborating on the data of companies. So TIN is likely to come with your certificate of incorporation. But for the mere fact that it comes with your certificate of incorporation does not mean you have a file with Federal Inland Revenue Service. You might get there and they say they don't know anything about you, but the TIN will come. And so that's why it's very, very important that to ensure that the proper thing is done, a file is created for you, and everything is done. You can talk to a tax consultant about this. Dividend payment, always send advice of withholding tax. Okay. Yes. Every dividend paid in Nigeria, you will always see withholding tax being removed. The question is this: when you are filing your returns, have you been filing your returns? When you file your returns, you need to declare on that form that dividends, this is the gross amount of dividend you collected, and let them know that withholding, of course they know that withholding tax must have been deducted on it, so that when they are calculating your tax, they can remove that withholding tax. It's an issue with the Lagos State government, and it can easily be addressed because your dividends should not be subject to tax twice. So one can easily take that up. Gifts to religious organizations like tithes and offerings, are they tax deductible? No, sir. No, sir. The law does not recognize tithes and offerings as deductible. So it will be disregarded. Also, let us have, okay. Sorry. Okay, sir. I don't know where, I think that's all the questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Popola, for answering the questions. We have 2 hands that are up. Madam President, I'll defer that you go first. Mr. Tunde Davis, can you just crave the indulgence of Madam President to ask her question first? Please, you have the floor. Thank you, Madam President.
Good evening, everybody, once again. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, for allowing my question. We appreciate Mr. Popola. My question, sir, is more clarification on tax payments for retired minds. because I think I'm aware. I just need you to help to clarify this. Information that I have is, yes, if you're a pensioner and you have attained the age of a senior citizen, you need not pay tax. But then, as a senior citizen, if you are still earning, either by having some businesses or you have, like you said, you have invested your money maybe in assets that is bringing money back even in your retirement, are you not expected to pay tax in those regards?
Okay, ma. There are two types of taxes. The one being paid by limited liability companies and the one being paid by individuals. The position of the law is that if you are retired, it's not that you are going to work to generate income, but you have a business. That business is supposed to pay tax. Not you as an individual. You as an individual, you are retired, you are a senior citizen, you are not supposed to pay tax. But that business you have must pay tax. I hope I'm clear, man.
Okay. Yes, I think so, sir, because you know there are so many senior citizens in Nigeria today who are landlords, for instance, and they collect monies from their tenants, even though they don't have registered companies for those houses. Are they expected to pay tax because they are collecting rent, or must they be registered for them to pay tax? Because if you are collecting rent, you are earning money.
In that case, ma, it's not that you have a company handling that on your behalf. Hello, ma. Hello, ma.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But they're still earning. So are they not going to have to pay on those earnings?
No. No. For the mere fact you are a senior citizen, you don't need to file returns. You are a senior citizen. You don't need to file returns. It is when you file returns that you need to declare all your incomes. But as a senior citizen, you don't need to file returns. So there is no issue that you collect rent. That's the position, man.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Pupola. Mr. Tunde Davis, you still have your hand up. Please, can you go forward and ask your question? Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Pupola and fellow landers. Thank you, Mr. Pupola.
Good evening, sir.
Quick question. If a company deducts withholding tax and refuses to remit that withholding tax, how do you get a reprieve from that? If they don't file the withholding tax or they don't pay the withholding tax, what are we supposed to do?
Thank you very much, sir. What you need to do, you can on your own write them letters that they deducted this and they did not remit it. Another thing that I know that most multinational companies, what they do is that they will employ consultants to run after them. We have had reason to do that for a multinational company. And you give us reason why you did not remit it, something you deducted. And one thing I will advise is that if anybody deducts withholding tax from your revenue, ensure that they remit it. And the easiest way you can know for a limited liability company, you can go to your portal on Tax Promas and check. Once you did business last month and this month, go and check whether it was remitted. If not, then you take them up.
That is the problem. That is the problem. You take them, there is no sanction for them, and they are at will to or not to pay that thing. Because I have had cases like that, and we've written letters, we've done everything, they've even threatened that we will report them, but nothing was done. And because you really, there's no reporting process, and they cannot be penalized. So some people just take it as an extra, taking 5% off your revenue.
I understand, sir. And such customers, they are not good customers. Which means if they have a way of ripping you up, they do it. Because if you cannot be honest in this business transaction, you agree with them that, okay, take the withholding tax. But they are saying no. I'm just telling you that it is not that it's peculiar to you, sir. They always do it to multinational companies. They always do it to multinational companies. This company that I said gave us that assignment, they had about 500 million withholding taxes that were not remitted. So it's common. It's common. But then you as the owner of the money, you are the one to fight for your money. It's your money. It's your money they are stealing. Because once they remit it, you have something against the government. But if they are not remitting it, they are stealing your money. And I need to mention it here. Some people have understanding that VAT and withholding tax, they are compensatory. That if you are charging me VAT, I will charge you withholding tax. There's nothing like that. They are two different taxes. And they have different purposes. So they are not compensatory. They are not related to each other. So that's what you need to let them know. And it is your money. It's your money they are stealing. You need to let them know, sir. It's not the government.
Thank you, sorry, thank you, Mr. Popola. I just want to make a comment, and you alluded to that quite a number of, and it's a common in trading enterprises and trading ventures. But Mr. Davis, I think what I would advise is that from personal experience, when you're doing business, because unfortunately, quite a number, like Mr. Popola has alluded to, quite a number of companies actually tell you that they're going to deduct withholding tax from your services, but they won't actually deduct it. You tell people that you have to gross up any figure of any transaction that you are having with them. That's an experience that we have had. And if you want to do business on, with withholding tax, we actually blatantly refuse. In fact, also like the question that he answered regarding institutions that don't remit, that don't provide civil servants tax certificates. We have a lot of instances whereby companies deduct pensions from their staff. We have a scenario of a particular pension administrator that has contacted somebody and said, have you retired? Because we've not gotten any remittance for you in the last 3 years. And this fellow is working in a, well, I don't want to mention the name of that institution. So these are normal practice, unfortunately, that happen in our system. But like he said, you need to arm yourself to protect your own business to ensure that you become, a going concern. That's just my contribution. Madam President, you have another question. You're raising your hand.
Thank you again, moderator, sir. My question is still back to retired age. And I was just going to appeal to your committee that I think we might need to call another seminar strictly for what we have to go through when we get to retirement age. If you look at us now, I think some of us are there, some of us are approaching, and some experiences that we have heard of those who had been there, especially with the way they still demand from them, bring up all sorts of things that will make them say, you must show your clearance, show your tax clearance, even when it's clear that the person is a senior citizen. I would appeal to your committee to please bring us back with the purpose of full information to arm us, especially in our association, as, like I said, many of us, majority of us are fast approaching the retirement age. At least we'll be well empowered and with full knowledge as to how to attend matters, because we will still need to have things to be done, even as senior citizens. Thank you.
That's noted, Madam President. We'll get back to you on that. Thank you very much. I'd like to ask Landers if we still have questions, because our time is far spent, so that we can actually wrap up this meeting. Please indicate by raising your hand if you have a question for Mr. Popoola before we sign off. In the absence of any, okay, Akin,
Yes.
Adepoju, you have a question. Yeah, please go ahead, please.
Yes, I mean, it flowed from the question that Madam President raised earlier on about people over the age of 60. I just wanted to double check that what about where people are still in employment past the age of 60, because not everybody retires at 60. Will they be subject to tax? So in other words, will their employers withhold, would they be on PAYE, for instance?
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. Once you are in employment, the obligation for your tax is placed on your employer. And it is your employer that will be held responsible. And that's why most employers will always deduct it, because you are still earning income from them. Most employers always try as much as possible to run away from trouble with tax authorities. They will want to do their bidding, because you're not paid, they will be held responsible. Really can fight it out. Then I don't know any employer that will want to take up that responsibility.
Okay.
Thank you
very much.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I want to hand over to Landa Prof. Oremusu to take over and sign up from there. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Popoola.
Thank you, sir.
Prof.
All right, thank you very much, moderator, Landa Tunde Dada. I want to seize this opportunity on behalf of our president, the executive, and as well as the membership of the Business Empowerment Program Committee to thank you very profusely for your time, sir. Having listened even to your very, impressive profile before you started, giving us this seminar in a very simplified form, enough for those of us who are laymen in the accounting and taxation world to understand. We know that your time is really, really valuable, and we cannot in any way pay for your time. But we want to appreciate you for your company, appreciate you for the good work you're doing, and we see this opportunity to encourage as many of us who may need tax consultants. I would have said I needed one, but I've closed almost all the businesses I do now. I just enjoy my life and the process. For those of us who are still in business, please, I will say that we should please feel free to contact our consultant tonight, and I'm sure he will be of help. Of course, there will be some charges, but of course, we will get a rebate because we are 81, 83 cents. We had hoped that many more people will join, because we even asked that people outside our group can be invited. But we are not deterred. We still believe that what we have heard today, as our president has said, has stimulated the interest in even another seminar. So the topic of another seminar has even been generated by this. So I want to thank you, sir, for your time. And we pray for your company, that your company will continue to make progress, and that you also will be able to help Nigerians. I also believe that very soon we may invite you again, because we understand that Mr. President has set up a committee. They've submitted a preliminary report already, and there will be other things. So as more, changes occur in the tax environment, we will also appreciate if you also enlighten us from the perspective of a tax consultant. So on behalf of every one of us, We thank you, sir, and we wish you a good night rest. Those of us who are not members of the executive, we are free to sign out now. And immediately after we sign out, our president will take over. So, Mr. Popoola, thank you very much. And as we promised, we hope that we'll be able to get the material as long as it's not copyrighted. So that we can share widely among our people. Thank you so much, sir. My regards to Anthony and the children. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Popoola. God bless you, sir.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Popoola. God bless you, sir.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Popoola. We appreciate you deeply.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Popoola.
You are welcome, sir.
Yeah.